Welcome to Athens.
A sprawling city of over 3 million people, the capital city of Greece has it all. From ancient monuments and Olympic history to modern cultural areas and seaside walks, join me on a trip around one of the world's most interesting cities. The Monastiraki Area is part of Athens' Old Town and home to a famous flea market, as well as some of the city's most ancient monuments.
In Monastiraki Market there's lots of permanent shops like these ones. And there's also a flea market a bit further in, so let's go take a look.
Athens is my girlfriend Despoina's hometown, so who better to show me around?
It's called Karagiosis. And you might hear when we want to say in Greek that somebody's a complete clown, we're like, the Karagiosis.
The market's origins go back to the Ottoman period, with the flea market still being put on every Sunday, alongside the assortment of permanent stalls selling everything from antiques to vintage LPs.
So we're going to an area now called Psyri, which apparently used to be a hipster area. Now it's quite sort of gentrified. So there's lots of stuff to do here. I'm in the central square, there's restaurants, bars.
Psyri was previously known for its artisanal crafts, but is now a fashionable area of tavernas, coffee shops and live music venues. Many of Athens' metro stations house ancient artifacts, often uncovered during the station and tunnel excavations.
This is really cool, ancient artifacts in the tube station. So this is the excavation of Monastiraki Square. So we've taken a trip to the street market with lots of fruits and vegetables everywhere. It's absolutely huge. Let's see if we can find some good stuff.
Those are the type of mushrooms I was talking about.
Which one is it?
The plevrotus. So the plevrotus are kind of like the same family as the oyster ones. They're very delicious. Permission to find something that belongs in this type of herb category. So this is why we just get gravitated with Will Pig, because that knows what he's doing.
So I found it.
So you collect the cabbage from the fields, then this type of leaves grow. You boil them, and after you boil them, you add olive oil and lemon juice and sea salt, and it's delicious. Cute. Okay, little snail, I'm putting you back.
Άλλοι είναι πιο γινωμένοι. Αυτά είναι γινωμένοι.
Κάνουνε και περισσεύουν.
Okay, we're going to get these tomatoes. You don't agree, do you?
No, we have fallen into a disagreement with my dad. A vegetable disagreement.
So we've got some greens, some tomatoes, some persimmons. Looks like a good haul.
You're won over by the Laiki.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lots to choose from.
And it's all best quality, like whatever you get, it's going to be great quality.
After our trip to the Laiki, we took the metro to one of Athens' most interesting archaeological museums.
So cool in this Acropoli train station. There's lots of artifacts here. There's the Acropolis, and we're going to go to the Acropolis Museum now.
Can you see the well? And it has a coins in it.
The Acropolis Museum opened to the public in 2009 and houses over 4,000 historical objects. The architecture of the museum is interesting in its design over 3 main levels, mimicking walking through the temples and slopes of the Acropolis opposite.
Can you see?
For example, on the top floor, the spacing of the museum's Parthenon Hall is the same as the temple itself. To see the actual Acropolis through the glass walls really adds to the experience of the museum.
In alignment with the real East Belmont.
We planned to visit the Acropolis the next day, but first headed to a lesser known cultural attraction. We're at the old gasworks, which is a really cool art space. It looks like everything's closed though now, so maybe come back another time. I'm in the surroundings of the Acropolis, probably one of the most famous sites in Athens and Greece, so we're going to take a look around. Evidence shows that the hill of the Acropolis has been inhabited since the 4th millennium BC, with the construction of the most famous monuments around the 5th century BC. Here we're at the amphitheatre of Dionysus, which was built around 300 BC. Apparently amazing acoustics, quite a lot of the original seating still there. Heading up the path now towards the Acropolis.
This is really interesting. This is a cistern, but it's from Byzantine time. And actually in Greece the main problem we have is, other than the churches, we don't have many things except also for Mistras in the south of the Peloponnese Peninsula. We don't have many relics or findings from the Byzantine times, even though they're more recent, they were all destroyed. So whenever we find something, we're like, oh, Byzantine!
The Herodion is a Roman theatre which was built in the 2nd century AD and renovated in the 1950s.
Yeah, this is, if you come in the summer when there are performances from late spring to early autumn, you will watch here and see this wall in front of you with this fantastic view and the moon on top, and it is an experience to be had. I highly recommend it as one of the best things to do when visiting Athens. It's a memorable experience even for Athenians.
So we're here at the Acropolis now, amazing views all around Athens. The Parthenon is a 5th century BC temple dedicated to the goddess Athena. The temple is known for the refinement and order of its architectural style. It's probably the most famous symbol of ancient Greece. So here I am at the Parthenon, maybe not as beautiful as it could be with all the scaffolding on, but still an amazing sight. There's a lot of restoration works which are due to finish in 2025. Been going on for a couple of years already. So this is the Erechtheoin. If you look at those statues over there, there's 6 of them, which are all replicas. 5 of them are in the museum just down the hill, and one of them's in the British Museum, so hopefully we give it back one day. We walk back down the hill towards another interesting historical site.
Pnyx is one of the most important sites in Greece, and it is where the first gatherings of democracy started happening, the first assemblies. So imagine people like Pericles, Alcibiades. They will come here and argue their case, and decisions will be made. Let's go.
So this is where democracy began. Below the Acropolis lies the ancient Agora of Athens, the central public gathering space of the city. Now we're coming up to another temple, the Temple of Hephaestus. Looks pretty cool. Like the Parthenon, the Temple of Hephaestus is built according to the Doric architectural order. Completed in 415 BC, the temple was also used as a Greek Orthodox church from the 7th century until the 19th century. Ouzeri are Greek taverns which serve ouzo and meze. Despoina, a great local ouzeri, which was our next stop.
So we are in Dioskouroi. highly recommend. It's where the Greek people would come in Monastiraki, and it's ouzopolion mainly. So basically, you can get ouzo, and you'll get mezedes with it. That is a selection of different little beds like tapas. And you have with the ouzo, that's the way to drink ouzo. If you add water, you make it cloudy, and usually you say how cloudy you want it. And we also have ice. Some people will add water and ice. Some people will just add the ice. Yamas.
And this is the food you get for sharing at the ouzo place.
And only that is for 2 people. For 4 people, it's even larger than that, if you can imagine that.
We've got a bit of company here. Okay, we're in the Plaka area on the Adrian Hill Road. Lots of shops around here. Some quite touristy and then some quite fancy.
Yeah, this is like more proper Plaka.
Later that evening, we travelled to the northern outskirts of Athens to see Despoina's cousin Erechtheoin and her husband Vasilis, having been told there was a surprise waiting for me.
We're driving into the hills above Athens to a surprise destination.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to live through the evening, but looks like we're going on the cable car up to the top of the hills above Athens. Should be awesome. Now we're heading into the casino. We're going to the mountain's edge now to have a look at the city. But you can't see the city. Okay, we're going to look out into the park anyway. Oh, you can see the city. Look at that. Right, it's too cold and windy, we're abandoning it and going back in.
We didn't have the right ID to play in the casino, so we went for dinner at the casino's restaurant. It had both spectacular views and amazing food and drink.
High above Athens.
So it's like, you know when you have like a photo shoot that there is one person
Yeah,
holding
I'm that
the
person.
light and another one the
I'm the
reflection.
lighting person.
Our trip to Mount Parnitha was a great experience, not only with the panoramic views from the cable car and the casino's restaurant, but it was also great to see another part of the city.
We're now here at the Lycabettus. So we're at the Lycabettus here. It's amazing to think that the gymnasiums in Athens date back to 6th century BC, with some of these buildings here dating back to the 4th and 5th century BC. This is where the young boys of Athens would come to exercise and do martial arts, and apparently Socrates was a frequent visitor here. We're now at the Kalimamaro, which is the Olympic Stadium from the first modern games in 1896, and it was also the finishing line for the Marathon 2004, which you were at, is that right?
Yeah, 2004. It was really exciting.
It cost €10 to get in, so I've just bought a ticket. Now we're going to head in. The Panathenaic Stadium has been around since around 566 BC. It'd been restored during the Roman occupation quite a bit. It did fall into quite a state of disrepair during the Ottoman occupation, but it was eventually restored for the 1896 first model Olympics. So these marble thrones here apparently were made for the king and queens. And the rest of this bench is for other dignitaries. Wow, it's a bit super steep.
The stadium's tunnel, dating back to ancient times and having been walked by athletes and gladiators alike, leads to a museum for the modern Olympics with posters and torches from the event.
Here we go for a run in the Olympic Stadium.
Next we walk to the National Gardens via the palatial Zappeion, which was built for the first modern Olympic Games.
I'm now in the National Gardens having a look around. Looks like there's some swans having a go at each other over here. Now we're heading to the Parliament House in Syntagma Square.
The tomb of the unknown soldier is a cenotaph dedicated to Greek soldiers killed in conflict. The tomb is guarded by the Presidential Guard with a ceremony every hour for the changing of the guard.
So we've just seen a changing of the guard at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and it was quite a moving ceremony to see it happening in person. So I'm now in Syntagma Square. It's just next to the Parliament building, well, across the road.
Syntagma means constitution, and the square was named after the 1843 uprising, which guaranteed a constitution and right to vote in Greece. The next morning, we headed to the coast of Athens, to the Stavros Niarchos Cultural Centre. Open in 2016, the centre hosts art, music and dance events, as well as being home to the Greek National Opera and National Library.
So we've come to the Stavros Niarchos Cultural Centre, which is down by the sea in Athens. It's funded by the billionaire Stavros Niarchos, who's from one of the rich families of Athens, and is full of art, and the building itself is quite spectacular. I'm just walking along the rooftop garden, or green roof, which is planted with Mediterranean plants. It helps keep the building warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Also, during periods of heavy rain, it traps water, so there's less runoff into the city. And it looks really nice. It's a labyrinth here. Someone always loved mazes and labyrinths. Woo! We've done it.
Yeah!
Our next stop was the port city of Piraeus, part of the Athens urban area. Piraeus is the largest port in Greece, and the city dates back to the 5th century BC. We took a walk along the marina as the sun began to set. Piraeus is the 5th largest passenger port in Europe, as well as being a busy container port.
So we're at Piraeus Station, which is at the dock of Piraeus. This is one of the oldest stations.
Piraeus Station was built in 1869 on Greece's first rail line, which linked Piraeus to Athens.
Okay, so we're in the Kolonaki area now, going to head towards Lycabettus Hill, which is a famous hill you can see all around in Athens. Apparently some of the famous philosophers used to speak up there, and there's also a cable car which we're going to take up there, see some of the nighttime views. I'm here at the foot of Lycabettus Hill. Going to take the funicular railway up to the top. Apparently one of the best views in Athens.
The summit of Lycabettus is the highest point in central Athens. The funicular railway is an easy way to get to the top and costs €7 one way or €10 return at the time of recording.
Wow, amazing views. See the Parthenon over here. So as well as the amazing views up here, there's the Church of St. George, you'll see just behind me. You can see all the surrounding hills as well, which are rising up about 1,000 meters above the city.
I think that's Caesariani, and there is a very famous monastery there.
Up on the hill?
Yeah, and there is still, it's like all around the city carries on.
So dinner now in the restaurant on Lycabettus Hill. It's been a great trip up to the top of Lycabettus Hill. We've seen a 360-degree view of Athens, twinkling lights all around.
We took a final walk around the Kolonaki area before retiring for the evening.
So we're now at the Archaeological Museum of Athens.
The Archaeological Museum houses a wealth of historical artefacts, sculptures and relics from ancient Greek history. The museum has exhibits from several time periods, from archaic to classical, and includes pieces from ancient Rome and Egypt, as well as several ancient Greek cultures. One of the most interesting exhibits for me was the Golden Mask of Agamemnon, a Bronze Age funerary mask of the Mycenaean culture. In 1876, the archaeologist who discovered it believed he had found the body of King Agamemnon of the Trojan War epic. There is also a cafe patio downstairs from the museum which has an array of sculptures and murals and is a great place to sit for a while. We walked to the nearby Athens Polytechnic, one of Greece's oldest and most prestigious universities, and part of a sad but influential moment in recent Greek history.
It says no to private university.
So we're outside the Polytechnic University. There was a dictatorship in Greece from the early 60s to around the mid 70s, and in 1973 a lot of students gathered in here in the Polytechnic, and in the end the government sent a load of tanks to bulldoze in, and they even killed some of the students. That was one of the main events that brought down the dictatorship. It was called the Polytechnic uprising, and the people rose up and overthrew the dictatorship. So a lot of history in here, and one of Despoina's friends was actually one of the students that was in the uprising. So we're inside the Polytechnic now. We've just been told by some of the students that they've taken over the university in protest of the privatisation of university in Greece.
For that. 100% agree. Right now, education in Greece is free. Around you will be able to...
So we're at the old Anarchist Square. Looks like they're doing some refurbishment works though. Not much going on there, but it still looks like a student area.
This is where we would always meet in Café Diplo with my friends.
The square has long been a centre for political activism, especially anarchist groups. A metro stop is now being built in the area, a symbol of its gentrification for many. Unfortunately, our time in the city had come to an end. Despoina's mum and dad took us to the airport. I love the culture of Athens, from ancient to modern, the art, the architecture and the food. A city I'd barely scratched the surface of, and definitely worth revisiting. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.